A 9-year-old girl from Hong Kong walked onto one of the most terrifying stages in the world. She grabbed that microphone, opened her mouth, and silenced an entire room full of thousands of strangers. Every single judge voted yes. A celebrity guest slammed the golden buzzer so hard that confetti rained from the ceiling. Over 42 million people watched her audition online. She became a child legend overnight. But viral fame is only what everyone saw. Because behind the fairy tale moment the internet replayed a million times, there's a much more complicated story and one detail about her father that almost destroyed everything. And most people never even noticed it. And the most unsettling part is that the signs were there from the very beginning. The controversy nobody expected. While Celine was performing in front of millions of people and receiving golden buzzers, a different story was building in the background, and it was a story about her father. Steve Tam had not entered the public conversation quietly. As Celine's visibility exploded during the AGT run, Steve's own visibility grew alongside it. He presented himself publicly as Dr. Steve Tam, a title that implied academic credentials in the field he was working in. When Hong Kong media began examining that credential more closely following Celine's viral breakthrough, uncomfortable questions started surfacing. Steve Tam's doctoral degree was a PhD in business administration from a university in the Philippines, not a qualification in music or vocal training of any kind. When this detail became public, people began questioning whether the doctor title was appropriate in the context of presenting himself as a professional singing coach and music expert. Steve addressed the issue publicly, saying he had used the name Dr. Steve in connection with a headhunting business before he ever opened a singing school, and that he had never directly claimed to have a doctorate in music. He apologized for any confusion the title had created. The controversy about his credentials was only the beginning. Shortly after Celine's AGT audition went viral, Steve Tam announced the release of his own music album. The timing struck many observers as suspicious. Critics and fans of Celine online accused Steve of using his daughter's fame as a platform to launch his own career, calling him a stage parent who had turned a 9-year-old's talent into a promotional vehicle. The phrase used repeatedly on social media was that he was treating his daughter like a money tree. Further scrutiny uncovered that the list of singing awards and achievements displayed on Steve's professional website contained discrepancies in dates and event names that did not align with verifiable records. When confronted with these inconsistencies, Steve said the errors were simply the result of poor memory about events that had occurred 20 to 30 years earlier. He said he could not be expected to remember every specific detail from competitions held decades in the past. The most damaging accusation came from a well-known local Hong Kong celebrity named Nancy Sit Kayan. Nancy Sit accused Steve Tam publicly of stealing her students, meaning he had recruited students away from her by inappropriate or unethical means. Nancy Sit described him in public statements as an immoral person with treacherous intentions, which was a significant claim given her own reputation in Hong Kong entertainment circles. At the same album launch event where he announced his new music project, Steve Tam apologized to Nancy Sit directly and pledged to donate money connected to the disputed situation to charity. Through all of this, Celine herself stayed focused, kept performing, and said publicly that she loved what she was doing. But the shadow of her father's controversies had attached itself to her story in ways that were difficult to separate from the genuine achievement of what she had accomplished on stage. Celine Tam grew up with a voice the world was not ready for. Celine Tam Traswan was born on the 22nd of November, 2007 in Hong Kong, China, into a family where music was not just a hobby. Her father, Steve Tam, was a singing coach who owned Vocal Mice and had spent years building his career around training young performers. Her mother, Jia Ming Shan, supported the family while Steve ran his music business. Both Celine and her younger sister were named after legendary Canadian singer Celine Dion, a detail that tells a story about the kind of household they were raised in before either of them could sing a single word. By the time Celine was 3 years old, her father had already started giving her formal singing lessons. The story of how it began is one that Steve Tam has told publicly many times. During a car ride, a very young Celine started singing My Heart Will Go On, the iconic Celine Dion song. Steve heard the quality of her voice and could only manage a single word. Wow. That moment, according to him, was when he knew his daughter had something extraordinary. He went home, spoke to his wife, and made a decision that would change every part of their family life going forward. By the time Celine was 4 years old, she was already performing live in front of real audiences. Not just family gatherings or school events, but actual public performances that tested her voice and her nerve at an age when most children are still learning to tie their shoes. Most of the world discovered Celine Tam through America's Got Talent in 2017. But by the time she walked onto that stage, she had already been performing professionally for 5 years and was already famous in parts of Asia. At age 5, Celine entered a contest called Let's Sing Kids in China, performing a song called You Raise Me Up by Secret Garden. That performance announced her talent to Chinese television audiences and started a wave of attention that grew quickly. In 2014, when she was just 6 years old, she performed Let It Go from the movie Frozen at the Shanghai Love Concert, sharing a stage with pop singer Sheila Amsa in front of a massive crowd. The video that first made her go truly viral internationally was a 2015 duet with a boy named Jeffrey Lee. The two young singers performed You Raise Me Up together on a television program called Little Big Shots, and the clip spread across the internet with hundreds of millions